The church bells rang like a dream he'd waited his whole life for. James Carter stood at the altar, his hands trembling inside his suit pockets, his heart pacing faster than the choir's hymn. Everything, the soft scent of lilies, the white ribbons tied to the pews, the sunlight streaming through stained glass, felt like perfection. Like her. Her name was Isabel Moore, the woman he loved, the woman he'd proposed to under the old oak tree 6 months ago. He remembered her laugh. Warm, easy, contagious, the way she looked at him like he was home. And now she was walking toward him. The veil floated like mist around her face, her white gown whispering across the marble floor. The whole world went silent, except for the echo of her steps. When she reached him, James almost forgot to breathe. The music faded. The priest smiled, and for a moment everything felt right, until he looked into her eyes. They were the wrong shade. Isabel had soft green eyes, the kind that looked like sunlight through glass. But this woman's eyes were blue. He blinked, heart stuttering, confusion scraping the edge of his joy. Maybe it was the light, or the nerves. Maybe it was him. But when she whispered, "I do," her voice wasn't Isabel's either. It was softer, sharper, like someone trying too hard to sound familiar. The kiss sealed it. Cold lips, no warmth, no memory. In that one touch, James realized with absolute, bone-deep certainty, the woman he just married wasn't Isabel. The guests cheered, cameras flashed, and James just stood there smiling for the photos, while every part of him screamed something was wrong, terribly, impossibly wrong. The reception was beautiful, too beautiful. Laughter floated through the air, crystal glasses clinked, and fairy lights shimmered against the night sky. It was the kind of evening James had always imagined. Except every time he looked at her, the room tilted slightly, like a painting hung just a little off the wall. She smiled like Isabel. She moved like Isabel. She even called him Jamie, the nickname only Isabel used, but it wasn't her. He knew the difference between memory and imitation. And what haunted him wasn't that this woman looked like Isabel, it was that everyone else believed she was. "Mr. and Mrs. Carter, your first dance," the DJ called out cheerfully. James hesitated. His heart was still racing from the ceremony, his palms slick with sweat. The woman, his bride, reached out her hand. He took it reluctantly, and as they stepped onto the dance floor, the world seemed to shrink until it was just them, moving under the glow of gold lights and soft piano music. Her fingers were cold, too cold. "Relax," she whispered, her lips brushing his ear. "You're shaking." He tried to smile. "It's been a long day." She leaned closer, eyes sparkling a shade of blue that didn't belong to the woman he loved. "It's only the beginning." For a moment, James forgot how to breathe. The music swelled around them, violins crying in the background, and he forced himself to focus on her face, her features, her every detail, the shape of her nose, the curve of her lips, the mole beneath her right eye. It was all identical, but Isabel never had that mole. He froze mid-step, her grip tightened on his shoulder, gentle but firm enough to stop him from pulling away. "Something wrong, Jamie?" He stared at her. "You're not Isabel." The words left him before he could stop them. The smile on her face didn't falter, but her eyes, those ocean blue eyes, darkened ever so slightly. "Of course I am," she said softly. "Who else would I be?" Before he could answer, his best man, Ryan, walked up laughing, clapping James on the back. "You two look incredible out there. You've got everyone jealous, man." James blinked at him, searching for a flicker of recognition, some sign that he saw what James did. But Ryan only smiled at her, the woman who wasn't Isabel, and said, "You're glowing, Izzy." Izzy, the nickname only Ryan used. James felt a chill crawl up his spine. He looked around. Every guest was laughing, toasting, taking pictures. No one saw it. No one noticed. To them, she was Isabel. Perfectly, completely. When the dance ended, James excused himself. He slipped through the crowd, heart pounding, and pushed open the door to the garden outside. The night air hit him like ice. He leaned against a tree, his breath shaky. He pulled out his phone and opened his gallery. There, the proposal photo. Isabel in the sunlight, laughing, green eyes bright with tears. He zoomed in, memorizing her face again. "That's her. That's who I love." Then he looked through the wedding photos the photographer had just sent over an hour ago. His stomach dropped. Every picture, every single one, showed the woman with blue eyes. He scrolled faster, desperate. There had to be one mistake, one glitch, one sign that he wasn't losing his mind. But in every frame, it was her, smiling, waving, looking straight at the camera, as if she'd always belonged there, and Isabel was gone. He dropped the phone. His pulse thundered in his ears. No, this can't be happening. "Jamie?" The voice came from behind him. He turned. She stood there, veil removed now, her face glowing softly in the moonlight. Beautiful, familiar, terrifying. "I was worried about you," she said gently, taking a step closer. "You shouldn't be alone on your wedding night." "Who are you?" he whispered. She smiled, The same smile Isabel gave him the night he proposed. "I'm your wife." He stepped back. "No, you're not." For a second, the mask cracked. The softness in her expression vanished, replaced by something else, something hollow, ancient. "Then why?" she asked quietly. "Does everyone remember me but you?" The question hit him like lightning. "What?" She tilted her head. "Look inside, Jamie. Deep down, don't you feel like you're the one who's forgetting?" The wind stirred. Somewhere in the distance, the church bell rang again, the same as before, the same chime, over and over. James stared at her, the world spinning. For a heartbeat, he saw something flicker behind her, a shadow, faint but real, shaped like Isabel. And just like that, she was gone. The woman reached for his hand. "Come inside, Jamie. It's getting cold." He hesitated, then followed, because whatever she was, whoever she was, she looked just enough like Isabel to make his heart believe the lie. Morning came too quietly. No birds, no sound, only the whisper of the ocean through the window and the faint creak of an old ceiling fan spinning above the bed. James woke with a start, his body tense, his mind still trapped between dream and memory. The bed beside him was warm but empty. She wasn't there. He sat up fast, scanning the room. The white wedding dress hung by the door. Her bouquet lay on the nightstand, still wet from last night's rain. And on the dresser, his phone. The screen was lit. He frowned. He hadn't touched it since last night. A new folder had appeared in his gallery, honeymoon memories, but they hadn't left the city yet. Heart pounding, he opened it. There were hundreds of photos. Him and her smiling on beaches, sitting in cafes, kissing under sunsets. His mind reeled. He hadn't taken any of them. He'd never even seen those places before. Each photo looked real, too real. The lighting, the shadows, the expressions. He touched one. A picture of them standing in front of a small chapel. He remembered that chapel. It was the place he'd proposed to Isabel. But when he zoomed in, her eyes were blue. And behind her, in the chapel window, something was watching. He squinted, his breath hitching. There, faintly visible through the glass, the reflection of another woman. Isabel, green eyes, pale face, crying. He dropped the phone, his hands trembling so hard it almost slipped from his grip. "Jamie?" Her voice drifted from the bathroom. Cheerful, sweet, like everything was normal. "I made coffee. You still take it black, right?" He didn't answer. He couldn't. He bent down, picked up the phone again, and scrolled through the photos with shaking fingers. In every reflection, glass, mirrors, car windows, Isabel appeared. Not beside him, not in the scene, behind him, watching, silent. The bathroom door creaked open. She stepped out wearing Isabel's robe, the same one with the faded initials "I.M." stitched on the pocket. Steam followed her like fog. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she teased, smiling. James stared at her. "Where did these come from?" She blinked. "What do you mean?" He turned the phone toward her. "These photos, they weren't there last night." Her expression softened, not with confusion, but with pity. "Jamie, you must have forgotten. We took those on our honeymoon, in Greece, remember?" He shook his head. "No. Isabel and I." He stopped himself. Her smile froze. "Isabel and you?" The room fell silent. James's heart dropped into his stomach. He hadn't meant to say her name. He hadn't meant to remember out loud. The woman's eyes darkened. Slowly, she walked closer, each step soft against the wooden floor. "Jamie," she whispered, voice trembling slightly. "You promised not to say that name anymore." He took a step back. "What are you talking about?" She reached up, her fingers brushing his cheek. Gentle, loving, terrifying. "You're still sick," she murmured. "The doctor said this might happen again, that you might start mixing up names." "Stop," he whispered. "You keep calling me Isabel like she's still here." Her voice cracked, almost breaking. "But she's gone, Jamie. She's been gone for years." His blood turned to ice. "What did you just say?" Tears welled in her blue eyes. "You lost her, remember? In the accident." He stared. Frozen. "Accident?" She nodded slowly. "The night of the storm. The bridge collapsed. You tried to save her." Her lip trembled. "You couldn't." James backed away, shaking his head. No, that's not true. She was fine. I saw her." But his mind betrayed him. Images flashed. Water screaming, headlights spinning through rain, a car sinking beneath the waves, a hand reaching out, green eyes terrified, and then nothing. He fell to his knees, clutching his head. "Stop it. You're lying." She knelt beside him, arms wrapping around his shoulders. "I'm your wife, Jamie. You don't have to remember the pain anymore. You can just remember me." Her touch was warm, real. So real it almost broke him. He wanted to believe her, he wanted to forget. But when he looked up, when he dared to meet her gaze, her reflection in the mirror behind her wasn't hers, it was Isabel's. And she was shaking her head, silently mouthing the words, "She's not me." James didn't sleep that night. He couldn't. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her face. Not the woman beside him, but Isabel's, trapped behind the glass, her green eyes wide with silent warning. By morning, the room felt colder. The sunlight that spilled through the curtains was gray, dull, like the world outside had forgotten how to shine. He got up, moved toward the bathroom sink, and splashed water on his face. When he looked up, she was behind him, not the woman sleeping in his bed. Isabel. Her reflection stood in the mirror, eyes locked on his, her mouth trembling like she wanted to speak, but couldn't. James stumbled back, heart hammering in his chest. He turned. The bathroom was empty, only the sound of the dripping tap. He looked again. The mirror was fogged, but her handprint was there, pressed from the inside. Jamie? Her voice came from the doorway, warm, casual, the same voice that once comforted him in the dark. He turned to see her, the blue-eyed wife, standing there, smiling faintly. "You're up early." He forced a smile. "Couldn't sleep." She stepped closer, eyes searching his face. "You've been having those dreams again, haven't you?" He hesitated. "You mean the ones where my wife is still alive?" Her smile faded, almost instantly. "Don't say that." He looked at her reflection in the mirror and froze. The reflection wasn't moving. She was standing behind him, but her reflection just stared back, still, motionless. He blinked. When he looked again, the reflection was smiling. The real her wasn't. James turned sharply. "What are you?" Her eyes widened. Confusion, hurt, fear. "Jamie, it's me." He backed away. No. Isabel never had blue eyes. Isabel never. "Stop!" she shouted, her voice shaking. "Why do you keep saying her name like she's real?" He stared at her. "Because she is." The mirror behind her cracked. Just a small line running across the glass, but it sounded like thunder. They both turned toward it, and for the briefest moment, through the shattered reflection, Isabel was there again. This time she wasn't crying. She was pointing, behind him. James spun around. Nothing. But when he turned back to the mirror, Isabel's reflection was closer, her face almost pressed against the glass. Her lips moved soundlessly, but he could read the words. "It's not her." Then the glass exploded. Shards flew across the sink, cutting his arm. He stumbled back, clutching the wound as she screamed, rushing forward, panicked, terrified. "Jamie, you're bleeding." He looked up, eyes wild. "Stay away from me." But she didn't stop. She grabbed his wrist, trying to press a towel to the cut. Her touch burned. Not like warmth, but heat, too hot. He pulled away, eyes wide. Smoke rose where her fingers had touched him. She froze, realizing it too, and for the first time, her expression broke. "Jamie," she whispered, voice trembling. "I can explain." He backed toward the door, shaking his head. No, you can't." The lights flickered. Every mirror in the room, from the dresser to the hallway, began to hum softly, vibrating. And in each reflection, Isabel appeared again, dozens of her, each one mouthing the same word, "Run." He turned, sprinting toward the door. Behind him, the blue-eyed woman whispered something so low it barely reached his ears, but it froze him in his tracks. "Don't leave me again." James stopped, slowly turned back. Tears filled her eyes. Genuine, human, but beneath that softness there was something else, something old. "Please," she whispered, voice trembling. "You promised forever." For a long, fragile moment, he almost believed her again. Almost. But then, Isabel's reflection, in the cracked mirror behind her, screamed, and everything went dark. When James opened his eyes, the world was wrong. The ceiling above him was lower, the wallpaper pale yellow instead of white, the bed smaller, even the smell of the air, faintly of lavender, not roses. He sat up slowly, clutching his bandaged arm. Someone had cleaned the cut. The blue-eyed woman lay beside him asleep, her face calm, her breathing steady, her hand resting on his chest like it belonged there. But this wasn't their room. He didn't recognize anything. James got up carefully, trying not to wake her. He stepped out into the hallway and froze. Every photo on the wall, dozens of them, showed them. Wedding pictures, vacations, birthdays, a life together, except they were all different from before. In one, he wore a beard he'd never grown. In another, they stood before a house he'd never owned. In the next, they had a daughter, a little girl with bright blue eyes and pigtails. His throat tightened. No, this isn't real. He stumbled forward, opening door after door, each leading to rooms filled with lives he didn't remember living. The living room, the kitchen, even the backyard, all changed. He was trapped in a home built from false memories. Then a whisper, soft, faint, coming from the walls. "Jamie," he froze. That voice. He knew that voice. "Jamie, listen to me." It was Isabel. His pulse quickened. "Isabel, where are you?" The sound shifted. Behind him, above him, around him, like the house itself was breathing her name. "She's not me, Jamie. She took my face." James's heart raced. How do I find you?" No answer. Only a soft thud. like footsteps behind the walls. He pressed his ear against the wallpaper, trembling. "Tell me what to do." "The mirror," the voice whispered. "Find the mirror that remembers." Suddenly, footsteps, real ones, behind him. He turned. She was there, the blue-eyed woman, standing in the hallway, still wearing his shirt, smiling sleepily. "Who were you talking to?" He froze. I thought I heard something." Her smile deepened. "The walls creak in this old house. You'll get used to it." He looked at her, his mind screaming that something was wrong, that nothing here belonged. But then she reached out, touched his face, and again, her warmth felt human, real, so real it broke him inside. He whispered, "Where are we?" "Our home, Jamie." She smiled tenderly. "The one you built for me." He glanced around again. The photos, the colors, the rooms that changed, and for the first time a terrifying thought crossed his mind. What if she wasn't the only one pretending? What if he was? That night, as she slept, James sat awake in the dark, staring at the walls. Every now and then he heard it again. Faint scratching, whispering, Isabel's voice trying to reach him through plaster and paint. And then, just before dawn, he saw it, in the reflection of the window, while the world outside was still asleep. Isabel's face, clear as day, staring back at him from the glass. Her lips moved, one word at a time. "Basement." And then the lights flickered. The word basement echoed in his mind, long after Isabel's reflection faded. When morning came, the house felt wrong again. The hallways seemed longer, the air heavier, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. The blue-eyed woman was humming in the kitchen, the same tune Isabel used to hum when she cooked on Sundays, the same rhythm, the same pauses, but her voice was flatter, mechanical, like she remembered the melody, but not the feeling. James walked past her without a word, down the hall, past the crooked family photos that still changed when he wasn't looking. One frame now showed 3 children instead of 1, another, none at all. He reached the far end of the hallway. There, half hidden behind an antique dresser, was a door he'd never noticed before. Old wood, rusted hinges, a padlock that looked centuries old. It pulsed faintly, almost like it was breathing. James stared at it, heart pounding. Basement. Behind him, the humming stopped. "Jamie." Her voice floated down the hall, warm, curious. "Where are you?" He swallowed hard. "Just looking around." "Breakfast ready?" she called out. "Don't be long." Her footsteps faded away. He crouched, grabbed a screwdriver from a nearby drawer, and jammed it into the padlock. It resisted. Then, with a dull click, broke. The door creaked open. A wave of cold air swept over him, damp and heavy, the smell of earth, decay. He hesitated, then stepped inside. The stairs were narrow, steep, and swallowed by darkness. He descended slowly, each step groaning beneath his weight. At the bottom, another room, small, claustrophobic, barely lit by a single swinging bulb, and on the walls, photographs, hundreds of them. James's breath caught. They were all of Isabel. Every photo showed her in moments he remembered, laughing, cooking, reading, but her face was blurred, twisted, fading at the edges like she was being erased. In some, the blur was replaced by blue eyes, and in the center of the room, a table. On it lay a single frame. He stepped closer. It was a picture of him and Isabel at the chapel, the day he proposed. But when he looked closer, there were 2 shadows behind them. One was theirs, the other moved. He reached for the frame, trembling, and then heard it. "Jamie!" The voice came from the dark corner of the basement. He turned slowly, and saw a mirror leaning against the wall, covered in dust. He wiped it with his sleeve. Isabel's reflection stared back, terrified, desperate. Her lips moved. "She's feeding on your memories." His pulse thundered. What do you mean?" "She can't live without me," Isabel whispered. "Without us." The light flickered. Behind him, footsteps on the stairs. He turned sharply. The blue-eyed woman stood in the doorway, her face hidden in shadow. "Jamie," she said softly, stepping down one step at a time. "You shouldn't be here." Her tone was sweet, but her shadow stretched the wrong way. James stumbled back. "What did you do to her?" Her expression softened. Pity, almost sadness. "I didn't do anything." "You did." He froze. "What?" She stepped closer, eyes glowing faintly now. "Faintly wrong. You couldn't let her go. You begged to see her again, to fix what happened." "You called to me," she whispered, her voice splitting, part hers, part Isabel's, "and I came." He backed against the mirror, shaking his head. "No, she's gone, Jamie. You traded your memories to bring her back, but you brought me instead." Her smile widened, too wide. "And I love you for it." The mirror behind him shattered, Isabel's reflection screaming as shards fell like rain. The bulb overhead burst, darkness swallowed the room, and in that dark, something cold wrapped around his wrist. "Don't run this time," the voice hissed. "Not Isabel's, not hers, something older. You made your choice." James screamed. James woke up gasping, cold sweat on his skin, morning light spilling through the curtains like a lie. For a moment he thought it was just a nightmare. The basement, the mirror, Isabel's voice, all dreams, until he saw the cut on his wrist, a perfect ring, as if something had gripped him from the inside. He sat up, dizzy. The blue-eyed woman, His wife stood by the window humming again. Same song, same flat tone. She turned and smiled. "You scared me last night, Jamie. You were screaming in your sleep." He stared at her, blank. Where are we?" he asked quietly. Her smile didn't falter. "Home, silly. In Portland." His stomach dropped. They didn't live in Portland. They never had. He rushed to the dresser, yanking open drawers, clothes he didn't recognize, a wallet that wasn't his. Inside, a driver's license. Name, James Carter. City, Portland, Maine. Birthday, wrong year. He blinked hard. The date shimmered, numbers rearranging before his eyes like digital clockwork. He turned to the wall. Every photo, different again. Now there were no wedding pictures, no smiling faces, just landscapes, empty chairs. A beach at sunset where no one stood. "Where's Isabel?" he whispered. The woman's expression changed. A flicker, like static over her face. "Who?" He froze. "You know who. Isabel." She tilted her head. Curious, too curious. "You mean me?" "No." His voice cracked. "No, you're not her. You never were." She sighed softly, walking toward him with a kind of sadness that felt rehearsed. "Jamie," she murmured, "every time you remember her, you lose something else. That's the price." He stepped back. "The price for what?" "To keep her," she whispered. "To keep us. You begged for her to stay. Remember, you traded the truth for the feeling." His knees buckled. "That's not true." But then, the mirror across the room flickered. His reflection didn't match him anymore. It was smiling. He stumbled forward, pressing his palms to the glass, and his reflection whispered, "You forgot your mother's face yesterday. What will it be today?" James stumbled back, shaking. "No, no, no, no." The blue-eyed woman's eyes shimmered. "She's almost gone now, Jamie. And when she is, you'll finally be happy. With me." He grabbed his head, flashes bursting behind his eyes, memories folding in on themselves. His first date, his childhood dog, his father's funeral, all slipping away like film burning in a projector. Then, her voice again, soft, fragile, Isabel's. "Jamie, don't let her take the mirror." He turned. The mirror on the wall pulsed faintly, the cracks glowing white like veins of light. The woman moved closer. "Give it to me, Jamie. Please, before it hurts you again." He stared at her, trembling, every nerve screaming, and then he saw it. In her reflection, her real form flickering beneath the illusion, a face with too many eyes, a mouth that didn't stop at her chin, a shape not made for this world. James clutched the mirror to his chest, whispering, "You're not her." The house began to shake. Lights flickered, walls warped like melting wax. The woman's voice dropped, deeper, older. "Then remember her, if you dare. But you'll forget yourself in the process." He screamed as the light from the mirror consumed him, flooding the room, swallowing everything. And when the world went silent again, the room was empty, just the mirror on the floor, reflecting no one. The world was quiet, too quiet. James opened his eyes to find himself standing in nowhere, just endless water, black, still, and reflecting a sky that wasn't real. Every direction looked the same. Up was down, down was endless. He took a step, and the surface rippled beneath his feet but didn't break. His reflection stared back, pale, hollow-eyed, lips trembling. Then, it spoke first. "You shouldn't have looked." James stumbled back, heart hammering. What is this place?" The reflection smiled faintly. The space between memory and truth. He turned around, shapes forming in the distance like fog rising into scenes. A living room. His old one. Isabel sitting on the couch, smiling, the TV humming softly. He stepped closer. She looked so real. "Isabel," she turned to him, her expression warm, alive. "You're home early." He reached out, whispering, "It's really you." But when he touched her, her skin rippled like water. The image shattered. Behind the broken illusion, he saw it. The real scene. Buried underneath, the couch overturned, a shattered glass on the floor, Isabel crying, and himself screaming, angry, broken. "No," he whispered. "No, that's not what happened." His reflection appeared beside him again, whispering, "You wanted her to stay, even after she said goodbye." The air around him shimmered, flashes of memory slicing through, rain hitting the car window, Isabel shouting, "You need help, James." A crash, screams, a flash of headlights. He fell to his knees. "Stop, please stop." The reflection crouched beside him, same voice, colder now. "You begged the mirror to bring her back. You traded your past for her image." James looked up, eyes wide with realization. "You mean that thing in my house was what came instead?" The reflection finished. "It feeds on grief. It needed your memories to survive." He trembled. "Then why can't I wake up?" The reflection's smile widened, impossibly. "Because you already did, and you brought me with you." The sky cracked open. The mirror world trembled like glass under pressure. Shards of memory rained down. Wedding photos, hospital lights, Isabel's last breath, all melting into the water. James screamed as his reflection's hand reached out, gripping his throat. The surface of the water rippled again, showing the real world. The blue-eyed woman holding him, whispering, "Don't fight it, Jamie. She's gone, but I'm still here." He gasped, tears streaming down. Isabel. In the reflection, Isabel appeared one last time, pale, distant, fading. "Let me go, Jamie." He reached out to her, hand trembling, but the reflection's grip tightened. "If you let her go," it whispered, "you'll forget everything, even yourself." He closed his eyes. "Then I'll forget." He pulled the mirror shard from the ground and drove it into his reflection's chest. The world shattered. A scream, his, hers, everyone's, echoed through the void. And then, silence. When the light faded, James was alone again, standing in his old living room. No photos, no voices, no wife, just a single cracked mirror on the wall, and in it, no reflection at all. When James opened his eyes, everything was white. A soft beeping sound, the smell of antiseptic. He was in a hospital bed. The first thing he noticed was his hands, bandaged, trembling, but clean. The second, the mirror on the wall was gone. A nurse entered, smiling politely. "Good morning, Mr. Carter. How are you feeling?" He blinked. Where am I?" "St. Mary's Hospital," she said. "You were found unconscious in an abandoned house last night." He frowned. "A house?" She nodded. "Yes. Empty place on Willow Lane. Been vacant for years." His chest tightened. Was anyone with me?" She paused, confused. "No, sir. You were alone." James's throat went dry. "A woman, Isabel?" The nurse's smile faltered. "There's no record of anyone by that name." He looked away, heart pounding. "That can't be right." She adjusted his IV line gently. "You should rest, Mr. Carter. You've had quite a shock." When she left, the silence felt suffocating. He turned his head toward the window. Gray sky, rain streaking the glass. No Isabel, no blue-eyed woman, no mirror, just emptiness. Hours passed. He tried to remember faces, his parents, his friends, even his own, but the memories slid away like oil on water. The harder he tried, the less he remembered. And then he saw it, a folded piece of paper tucked under the tray beside his bed, his name scrawled across it in handwriting that looked like his own. He hesitated, then opened it. "If you're reading this, it means you chose to forget. They told you it would stop the pain, but you couldn't let go. You built her again, from every broken piece you had left. But love made of grief never stays human. She's still out there, Jamie, waiting for you to remember." His pulse quickened. No. This can't be real." He flipped the note over, a smudge of something faintly reflective on the back, like mirror dust. He lifted it closer to the light and gasped. For a split second beneath the shimmer, Isabel's face appeared, faint, smiling, sad. "You kept your promise," she whispered. The monitor beside him spiked, a sharp beep breaking the silence. Nurses rushed in, calling his name, but he barely heard them. He was staring at the window, where the rain streaks had formed a pattern, a handprint, pressed from the outside. The nurses were shouting now, but James just smiled faintly, whispering her name, "Isabel." And as the lights flickered once again, the reflection on the window smiled back. Rain fell softly over Willow Lane, whispering against the cracked windows of the old house. James stood in front of it, the hospital bracelet still around his wrist, his breath fogging in the cold. The house looked smaller now, frail, almost alive, like it had been waiting for him. He stepped inside. The floorboards groaned under his weight, echoing in the emptiness. Dust floated through thin beams of light, breaking through the boarded windows. And then, the faint smell of jasmine. Isabel's perfume. "Isabel." His voice trembled, breaking the silence. A whisper answered, soft, distant, familiar. "You came back." He turned sharply. In the reflection of a broken picture frame, he saw her standing behind him. Same white dress, same eyes filled with sorrow and warmth. He didn't turn around. "Are you real?" She smiled faintly in the glass. "I was, once, but you made me stay when I wasn't supposed to." He swallowed, voice shaking. "I couldn't lose you." "You didn't lose me, Jamie," she whispered. "You trapped me." The words hit like a blade. He closed his eyes, guilt pouring through him. "I just wanted to remember." "Then remember this," she said gently, stepping closer. "Love isn't keeping someone, it's letting them rest." He turned to face her, and for the first time, she looked fragile. Her outline flickered like candlelight, fading with every breath he took. Tears streamed down his face. "If I let you go, what happens to me?" "You start over," she whispered. "Without me." He reached out his hand. She mirrored the motion. Their fingers met through the air, separated only by a faint shimmer, like glass between worlds. "You promised," she said softly, "till death do us part." He nodded, voice cracking. "Then it's time, isn't it?" She smiled through tears that weren't really there. "Yes, it's time." The house began to shake, the walls groaning, mirrors cracking one by one. Light filled the room, swallowing every shadow. James closed his eyes and whispered, "Goodbye, Isabel." "Goodbye, my love," she replied and vanished. When the light faded, James stood alone again. The walls were bare, The mirror's gone. Outside, the storm had passed, sunlight breaking through gray clouds for the first time in what felt like forever. He walked out onto the porch, breathing deeply. In his hand, he held the last shard of mirror, dull, lifeless now. He placed it on the wooden rail and watched as the light reflected faintly for just a moment in the shape of her smile. Then it dimmed forever. James whispered to the empty air, "I'll love you, just not in the dark anymore." And with that, he stepped off the porch, leaving the house and her behind. As the camera pulls back, the house stands quiet in the golden light, and on the window pane, almost invisible, a single message appears for a heartbeat before fading away. "Thank you for letting me go."